All right, can I see the parties on Deja Miller?
Yeah. You ready? Did you call us up?
Yes. All right, we're back on the record in 2025 CR 001454, State versus Deja Miller, Havana. Can I have parties reannounced, please?
Megan Gowrie for the state.
Jody Sawyer's the defense.
All right, is there any other evidence to be presented by either side?
No, by the state.
And not by the defense.
All right, court will hear brief argument.
Thank you. Your Honor, first off,
Yes.
Judge, I'll reserve then you look at it.
All right.
first off, we're not condoning the behavior, but I think we need to keep it in perspective. I understand that a video caused sensational backlash, but the reality is there's no visible injuries to the dog. The dog was not physically maimed in any way. And when you think about that, in our justice system, we don't really honor an eye for an eye. Mm-hmm. But in this case, probably the more appropriate punishment, in addition to having been humiliated socially. And that is a huge thing. This has been a very difficult situation for her to live through, being threatened and all of that. But, it's a flaccid leash. And when I went to high school, they did corporate punishment. I don't see, if this is so egregious, then the punishment really should match the crime and have her ordered to be struck 17 times with the same leash that she struck the dog with. That's more appropriate. But I disagree with the fact that the state is asking for a jail sanction here. This young lady has no prior criminal history. She is got straight A's. She is employed. And again, like I said, neither she nor I are condoning her behavior, where she's taking responsibility for it. But it needs to be kept in perspective in regards to her being a first-time offender. No rehabilitation or mental health has been given to her at this stage. So I believe that would be appropriate. I am asking the court to consider the fact that torture, while the court has found that it is sufficiently met, the elements sufficiently met here, there is no lesser included, and it doesn't even require bodily injury. So on the scale of this particular type of offense and the things that we see in our practice, you and I have, I think, been doing this for over 20 years. We have seen egregious cases that fall on the scale that are very offensive. And while this is not something that we condone, I do not think it falls on the extreme of this type of offense, even if the court believes the elements were met. I am asking the court to grant her deferred adjudication, give her the ability to prove herself. I believe that with no prior criminal history, we shouldn't jump into any kind of jail time or prison time for that matter. And I'm asking that the court order anger management and all the things that the pre-sentence investigation we're talking about, with the exception of a jail sanction. I also want to point out that in the pre-sentence investigation, she stated that the way that she was raised was discipline was love. It was synonymous, that if you weren't disciplined, you weren't loved. And I'm not saying that, again, no one's trying to excuse the behavior, but I think that's an educational thing. She was treated the same way growing up, and it's something that we do need as a society address, and some of maybe the way we see things, and maybe even the way that society sees things and does things openly, and does it and is condoning openly to animals, like, for instance, shock collars that are sold. There's things that our society accepts, and while I'm not saying that what she did is acceptable, I just don't.
What do you think, though? Should public humiliation ever count as part of someone's punishment? The defense seems to think so, but that argument walks a fine line between accountability and minimizing cruelty.
I don't think it rises to the level of being as egregious as it may have appear on the video, based off of the actual result. And I believe this is a result-oriented crime. And so we're asking the court to give community deferred adjudication.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, say it.
Your Honor, state is asking for community supervision with the 180-day jail sanction based on the fact this is an egregious act. Thanos was a 3-month-old puppy that was defenseless, and although he is not verbal, cannot speak with words, that video speaks for itself. He was yelping in pain as she struck him what appeared to be 17 times while muzzling his mouth, presumably to keep him from making sound. Ms. Miller testified here today that it was cold outside and he initially was outside for leash training. When she came into the presence of officers, she told them he was outside because he had soiled in his kennel. She told you today in court that he was out there with blankets, but as you can see in the videos, that's not the case. She initially lied to officers during the welfare check. She said nothing was wrong and that others had dogs in the unit, knowing full well that she had just struck Thanos and that the officers were aware of the fact that she had done that because they saw the video prior to making contact with her. Her acts were callous. He was muzzled and she struck him. He got away and she continued to hit him. Defense would have the court believe that not all 17 blows were to Thanos, and she mentioned the pop-up kennel. However, in the video, you can see that pop-up temporary kennel wasn't moving as if she was hitting that kennel instead of the dog. She then agreed to sell the dog to Miss Rubio. First, the price was $300, then it went up and up again once she realized that it would be an inconvenience for her to not break even. And I would assert inconvenience would be a theme here today. Miss Miller states that she cannot do a jail sanction because it would be an inconvenience to work. It would be an inconvenience to her life, but that inconvenience should have been thought of prior to even getting a dog for ownership. She testified that unfortunately her father passed away in 2023, but this incident would occur a year and 6 months later approximately. Pet ownership is very important. Judge, we need to afford animals that cannot speak for themselves and all things that can't speak for themselves great protection. And so we would ask that you do community supervision, even in transport with Officer Park. She was making light of the situation, stating she would remember that song for the rest of her life. But I would urge this court to show Miss Miller that she shouldn't remember the song that was playing during transport, but rather she should remember the cries of Thanos while she was beating him 17 times. Because of this, Judge, we would ask that you consider the totality of the evidence presented to you and sentence her to community supervision for 10 years, as well as allowing no pets, anger management, the pause course, and 180 days jail sentence.
All right. So this is what I'm going to tell you. When I have cases before me, I look at each case individually, right? Because somebody will.
And here comes the turning point: judge's discretion. This is where experience and empathy collide. The judge's next few lines will reveal not just the sentence, but her philosophy on justice itself.
Come before me, and I've had people argue before me. Oh, there's somebody who had an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon where they shot somebody, they got probation, didn't get jail time. So I always try to remind people that each case is different. That's why I look at cases individually. I don't try to figure out, oh, this is what happened in this case, or this is what happened in this case. I just have to deal with the facts that are before me, right? And I understand everything that your attorney said. I understand that you don't have any criminal history. I'm going to give you a choice. Sometimes I can give people choices. Sometimes I can't. But these are your only choices. And I'm going to give you a chance to discuss it with your attorney before you decide. All right? So here's your choice. One, I will either give you deferred adjudication, and I will give you deferred adjudication. I don't think 10 years deferred. I'll give you 8 years deferred adjudication. Or with that deferred adjudication, you're going to do some jail time. Or you will have a conviction and I won't give you any jail time. Because sometimes, well, not sometimes, really all of the time, cases are about rehabilitation, but there's a form of punishment in it. So your only choices are, I'll give you deferred adjudication, but you'll do some jail time as a condition. Or either you'll have a conviction and you won't have any jail time as a condition. I'll give you a chance to discuss that with your attorney.
Yeah.
Sorry, Odyssey is moving very slow. Just give me 1 second.
No, you're good. We have some great thing for everyone. The bosses. The bosses. Right. Let's see what we've got. Okay, here. Okay. Yes, it's going to be yes.
That's for file. And what page is Cloud on, please? Oh. All right, thank you. All right, the court is back on the record. And 2025 CR 001454 State versus Havana Miller. The parties please re-announce.
Lauren Espinoza for the state, Jody Sawyers for the defense.
All right, have you had a chance to speak with your attorney? And which do you prefer?
She would take the probation, the conviction.
All right. All right, so the court will find you guilty. The court will sentence you to 10 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 8 years. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. There's to be regular random UAs. Proof of employment within 30 days or full-time study within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. 150 hours of community service restitution. There's to be anger management. And I'm sorry, what is the class involving animals?
Pause.
All right. The pause class. There's to be no pet ownership. Now, what do I mean about no pet ownership? Not a pet, not a single pet, not even a goldfish. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
There's going to be field visits 1 time per month until further notice. The MRT. There's a $2,000 fine. That will be probated. Probation. Is there anything else?
That hurts.
All right. Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful on probation?
I would like clarification on how do I prove my work in my school?
Oh, probation will go over that with you.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Anything,
Not this time.
anything else from the state? All right. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Here, it's this. Yes.
All right. This is a plea bargaining agreement. You do have a limited right to appeal. That right to appeal is as it relates to any pretrial motions that were filed and ruled upon. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what that is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing. Animals are helpless, right? And they depend on you to provide for them. And if you don't have the patience to have a pet, then guess what? You shouldn't have a pet. The end of story. Because they depend on you for food and everything. And maybe people shouldn't be beating horses as they run around the track at full speed. I don't watch it, right? But our society doesn't equate racing a horse around the track with pets, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Bullfighting, should there be bullfighting? But they don't equate that with pets. Maybe one day they will, but for now they don't. And so you're not allowed to have any pets. And you're not allowed to babysit children. You're not allowed to do any of that. Do you understand? All right, there is a pause. Are you babysitting?
I have nieces and nephews and I've never done anything to them.
No, you're not allowed to babysit. And let me just explain to you why I'm saying that. Because your patience with your pet, you lost it. And at this point in time, you cannot babysit children at all. You understand?
Is that just during probation? Or
Yeah, I mean, I can only order what I can order, and no gum chewing. I can only order what I can order while you're on probation. So for these 8 years, yeah, no babysitting. Okay?
I do have a question. I'm sorry.
Yes.
If I don't plan on it, but 8 years, I'll be almost 30. If I wind up pregnant or have my own child at that time, what was, what's the difference?
Here's my thing. I always tell people, let's not cross bridges until they're built.
No, it was just a
Yeah.
question.
No, that's what I'm saying. I can't see in the future. I don't know how you're going to be doing on probation.
Right, but would I be like in violation?
What she's saying at this point is she's gonna
Just don't
bring it and label it.
Okay.
If it becomes an issue, we will forward.
And your attorney can approach that on, because you can see there are many circumstances where you're telling me that, and then maybe it wouldn't be appropriate. But then if it wasn't appropriate, Child Protective Services would probably be involved, right?
Okay.
So I can't look into the future and see how you're going to do. But what I can tell you is we'll cross that bridge if we come to it. All right?
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.